Hi, Brandon here. First, I want to offer up a thank you for all the comments, all the support, and in some cases, even the donations that you've sent to Leah. The last few videos that I've made have been just about Leah, because her case is so special, so unique, so difficult. And I'm so happy that we've been able to provide that extra level of support for her, and that means the world to her. If you've seen these videos, you know that she gets emotional reading all the comments and support, so keep them coming. But the main purpose of this video actually is to preview this Tuesday's release of episode 2 of my series Homeless. This is the series How I Met Leah. I'm out there, I think most of you know, filming interviews with several individuals who live in communities a lot like Leah's, these homeless encampments. So we get a really honest, open look at these lives and then the issues surrounding why they're there, whether it's housing, addiction, etc. So episode 1 came out about a month ago, and we met a few of the individuals in the story, and now this Tuesday we've got episode 2. And what I want to do here now is preview a couple of moments from episode 2, because if you can't sit and watch the whole thing, you're too busy, and this is the best way to get this information, then I want to provide this to you right here and now, because this episode, as episode 1 was, as I'm sure episode 3 and moving forward will be, they're so rich, there's so much going on. The themes, the stories within the story. Let me start it off here. I'm going to now play some portions of episode 2 to hopefully get you interested in watching it, but again, if nothing else, allow you to see these highlights at the very least.
Previously on Homeless.
I love Minneapolis. This is my birth city. They do care for their people.
So it's a preview of episode 1. A review of episode 1 in case you missed that. And there's King, who probably was the main individual in the first episode, him and Andy. And then we open to a couple of new guys. One is TC here, and the other is, you'll meet him in a minute without the mask on. So this introduces us to episode 2.
We got some snacks left over for them. It look like it themselves like birds, because all we do is fly.
Use the bird's flight to
work
help.
hard, get some food for each other. When you packed,
Attitude. And we see a wide spectrum of different approaches to life that people have here. Thus the title for this being Attitude. It opens up after that opening, that intro, then we get to Andy. And as you see the date down there, February 15th. So this is mid-February. Episode 1 was in earlier February. He talks about what life is like there now, just kind of an overview. And he mentions Jim, who's now out of town, and that proves to be an issue for the camp, because Jim was always providing their propane. And that's what makes Andy talk about, are we able to support ourselves, or do we always need outside help? And this gets me to introduce this volunteer right here.
I've been helping with loaves and fishes in different loaves and fishes sites for about 30 years, and this is just their tagline is a meal for everybody, no questions asked.
That's Beethoven's Concerto No. 5, Emperor, I believe is the title of that piece, and I use it throughout the story. You'll hear it. It's at the same time both very appropriate for this episode, and then also kind of a clash. A beautiful piece of music with some aesthetic, some messiness with the ground of this camp. But then there's also a lot of appropriateness for this music. His spirit of service, other people's in this episode, their spirit of service, just the humble need of these individuals. And the piece itself isn't depressing, but it's not, happy. It's that sort of gentle, gravity.
Something that's in my heart, and it's what God would want us to do. So that's why.
Very wholesome, perhaps, and so I love that piece with this. And I also love this piece of music because it clashes, or is very different with the piece of music you're about to hear. And that's when we meet this guy, the guy with the mask. He goes by the name of Ishmael the Phoenix. He's a rapper. And so we use some of his music with his permission throughout this episode too.
Cause I can't shake seeing the life leaving my homeboys' eyes.
Talk about pain, talk about what people go through.
You might not be able to hear him talk about pain, talk about what people go through.
If you ain't willing to die for it, don't represent it.
And you got a lot of people who hurt. They hurt bad.
Yeah, he mentioned seeing all these people overdose out here. He himself isn't a fentanyl user, so he watches them do it with a lot of sadness, and that's reflected in his work.
Life, giving you all this real shit. I put it down cause I'm trying to make it come up. Life, giving you all this real shit. I put it down cause I'm trying to make it come up.
Hey.
His music accentuates this story really well. I then interview a city worker who comes here and cleans the the porta-potties. And so he talks about coming to do that and the damage that these porta-potties take too. And so he feels conflicted about doing this service when the people, they graffiti up and damage the porta-potties. After him, we get to a guy who, he talks about having a tough life, but a lot of it was, according to him, because of the trouble that he got himself into. And because of that, he sees it as his duty to serve the people in these encampments. And we talk inside his tent, which he keeps really dark.
And I call it my purgatory.
I call it my purgatory.
Because the one person that counted was my wife.
The one person that counted was my wife, and past tense was because she passed away. It turns out, he says later, it was complications with diabetes. But this was years ago, but he's still very affected by it. I think it was 6 years before this date, and he chokes up, and he feels guilty about his past life where he was in fights and in jails, and I don't know which crimes he committed. He didn't go into detail, but he just said, "This is my purgatory. This is what I need to do to make up for what I've done." And he's doing it as we speak. He's making breakfast in his tent, and he brings it to a single mom at the camp whose teenage daughter stays there with her. And so we see that. And that same music that I find so fitting for this episode, perhaps for this whole series. Then he goes back to his tent, and he feels happy because they invited him to join them for breakfast. So again, just some real wholesomeness. And then he walks off to their tent, and that's the end of that scene. The episode ends with King and Andy talking about life there with addiction, and then they're also there. King opens up about his addiction and their conflicts about whether to stay here, because they know that this is not the end of the road for them. This is not. It's just not where they ultimately want to be. That's no surprise. And even though they both have part of them that embraces this community and the people there, and even in some cases the lifestyle, as is the case for King, they both know deep down that this isn't where they want to stay, and so they have that conflict, and that comes out at the end of this episode. And then episode 3 is going to be called Going Somewhere, and we meet all new individuals, such as this gentleman who goes by the name of Shorty. This is what to expect. This whole episode, episode 2 of Homeless, premieres this Tuesday. It's a 28-minute episode. So sit down, grab a drink, and hopefully you can enjoy. I don't know at what time, maybe like probably 8 o'clock Central, I'll have a premiere this upcoming Tuesday. So I hope you can watch, and I'll be in touch with more updates as always. Thanks so much for watching and for caring, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.